Hey folks, Evil Pajamas here with another Civilization 6 video, showing some highlights from the Heroes and Legends content. In particular, we're playing at deity level difficulty, and I'm going to be showing how to use the Heroes and Legends content along with the Old Secret Societies content to create a very powerful early game rush to attack nearby neighbors. And in this example, actually, I have Pericles come up and try to give it to me in the rear, and I reject him as well and counter rush. So I'm fighting on two fronts in early game at deity level AI before the end of the ancient era. So our first hero that we discovered on this game was Oya, and it was actually our only option at this point. So we took Oya along with the Sanguine Secret Society to get the vampire unit. And you can see all we have is one warrior and one slinger. And we're not even using Poundmaker's special scout recon unit. And we have moved in on Sheffield over here. So the vampire is able to just attack and respawn there. So we're able to throw him in to get some damage at the city without actually losing a unit. So if you're not familiar with the Oya hero, the Oya allows you to do an AoE that hits all adjacent enemies and then heals your surrounding units. So it actually synergizes very well with the vampire, although I didn't make much use of it in this particular fight. I just basically used Oya like you could use any other hero as just an attacker, although I did make frequent use of that AoE attack. So as you can see, it's a pretty minimal amount of units. Elizabeth does not have a real powerful defense up, but I'm able to keep my units healed up using Oya's ability there. So you can see that I have my second city built, so I wasn't hindered too much in trying to go early military in terms of actually getting out to expand. I did get that city built. And you might be wondering why my capital is in between two volcanoes like that. So I am playing on a primordial map. It wasn't like a custom game or anything. I just happened to land in between those two volcanoes. It actually ended up really sort of screwing me because I went with an early Pantheon in an attempt to get the volcanic soil Pantheon upgrade, and the volcanoes actually never erupt, so it's just a total waste. And I invested in getting that early Pantheon for no reason at all, and then later actually get screwed out of getting a religion as well. So yeah, so that happened. So that actually was just a big detriment. I don't get any volcanic ash. I just end up with two dormant volcanoes on each side of my capital. So as you can see, I have to fall back a little bit here. So that's something you have to do when you're initially aggressing is constantly assess the state of, whether you need to preserve and fall back your units, because that's the raw numbers advantage is not going to be your way most of the time. So you have to conserve what health you have and get in and know when the right time to attack is. Now you can see Pericles has come up there on my rear. I guess that's to the north, so it's not necessarily my rear, but it's rear in terms of what I'm busy doing right now. And I've opted to just ignore him because I have a archer coming out in 2 turns, and then I have another unit coming out of the other city as well. So right now that's just 2 warriors, and I'm really intent on just taking Sheffield down here. So I've still got my 4 units, and there's only 2 units of resistance. Unfortunately, the Elizabeth city is now healing back up pretty significantly. So I had to fall back onto the other side of the river, but the AI didn't do a great job of pursuing, so I picked that unit off and get a promotion there. And then here I am trying to line up to maximize what damage I can get. So um, at this point, I can't recall if I have any charges left of the heal. I think that I do, but quick note on that AoE for Oya's ability, it actually will hit the unit in the city as well. even though you can't normally directly attack units in the city. So I had to make a decision here on how aggressive to get with Pericles coming back there. And actually, Pericles was part of the reason I didn't get the religion because he pillaged my holy site, and that would lost me some of my great profit points for a little bit. So I've got the one archer, and Pericles has three warriors there. So I'm now defending on my capital front while still trying to take Sheffield down with my 4 unit army consisting of the hero, vampire, slinger, and warrior. I'll just call them the warriors of light. They're there to defeat the four fiends and send Garland back in time. Uh, so we come out here and sort of try and play a little baiting game with Pericles and bring our archer out and see if we can divide out his warriors a little bit. So, and then we've got our special scout unit, which is basically like a warrior, except it moves one faster and starts with a scout promotion. So I actually screw up here initially and take the promotion right away. This isn't what you should do. What you should do here, because the promotion is not combat related. What you would want to do is leave the promotion uh, available, then go in and after you take damage, you'll use the promotion. So here, because of the terrain type, I can safely take a shot with the archer there, and I don't think that I'm going to get killed because I don't think all of those warriors can get to me. But I'm still managing the other battle on Sheffield here. But they've just usually the AI will not attack with their garrisoned warrior. So it's really just a matter of managing my health there. So you can see that I sacrificed the vampire unit again. The vampire always respawns in the capital with 1 health, and the only way they can be killed subsequently is to just be killed in the capital or in a vampire castle while they are in that respawned area like that. So now Pericles has 5 warriors, but I can use the little vampire pawn out here and then retreat back with my archer and still get a shot in. The other thing about the vampire unit is it gets a buff of +1 to their attack every time a unit dies in a square adjacent to them. And then their base attack is always whatever your strongest unit happens to be. So I'm still pinging down on Sheffield here. The heroes tend to have a high base attack, so if the enemy doesn't have walls up yet, you can really hammer down the city pretty quickly. Oya doesn't have one of the higher attacks and still hits pretty hard. You can see on the city, but there I'm forced to take the promotion on the warrior rather than attack, because you have to manage your health to see if you can get the city down before all of your attackers die. So here I'm coming in on the backside with the unique unit, and I have split off Pericles' forces so that it will be easier to pick off for the archers. So, or archer, because I have one archer. So bring you can see he's left one warrior there that should be pretty easy to pick off, and then I'll move the archer down off the city probably, um, and I will like here you could do a number of things. Probably retreat the vampire and leave the archer in the city, or leave the archer just to the south of the city because I have another archer spawning. So you want to move the vampire out of the city because he could be potentially killed in the city, and then um, it's just a matter of trying to manipulate the AI's sort of inferior tactics to overcome their numbers there. So we've already sort of done that on the Eastern Front with Elizabeth. And so the tactic you want here is, if you think you can get the city, is to take the city and then get whatever you can in a peace deal. Usually if you've taken a city like that, they're going to offer you quite a bit in return. Okay, so you can see Oya has been turned into a little thing to put in the museum now, but she's done her job, and the city looks like it should be taken here and probably the next turn, I thought I was going to take it on that turn, but it doesn't look like they're going to get a defender down there to stop it. So the only thing that could happen potentially is that they build a walls up like right before that, which probably not likely at this turn, but that does happen occasionally. Um, so I have some problems with output at my second city um, as far as growth, but it still works as sort of like an operational station for my army. So it's I don't know, it's an ancient era Death Star without a terrible weakness. So so I think that the focus now more is on Pericles. I'm not so worried about that eastern front. I know that I'm going to get a peace treaty after I take the city. So, and you do have to worry at sometimes about like, okay, if you take the city, are they going to declare emergency on you, and then you're going to get attacked on multiple fronts? But since I'm already getting attacked on another front, it really is like, okay, well, I think I'm just going to keep the city because why? I'm not going to be nearly as worried about getting attacked by multiple neighbors because I'm already fighting with multiple neighbors. So the only thing is that after it could drag Elizabeth back into the fight. And actually, given the turn that it is, I don't think an emergency can be declared for quite a while anyway. So you should have time to repair, but you should be aware of that down the road they could call an emergency on you on that for taking the city. So you can see that Pericles still has uh, five warriors, but he's got them terribly, terribly positioned. It's that is awful, awful. So deity level just means that they produce crap faster, not that they're any smarter. So you can see I take Sheffield and I opt to keep it, so it gives me three cities early on in the game, but I only had to spend a settler on one of them. So if you're not familiar with Pound Maker that I'm using here, it's the Pound Maker's unique unit is I think I went over this is it's just a recon unit that has the same strength as a warrior and an upgrade. So it's nothing spectacular as far as like offense goes, but I mean it is. It's an upgraded warrior, which is always good, but it's not really because it's really an upgraded scout, which is not nearly as good as a replacement unit as having an actual upgraded warrior. It just turns your scout into a warrior basically. So here I'm haggling with Elizabeth to try and maximize what I can get out of her. You should always try to get them to throw in some diplomatic favor at least on top of what they're offering because they'll usually offer a few points of that. Um, and there's really no penalty for min-max haggling other than being bored and adjusting the number up and down by one to see if you can get the exact number. But I usually just try and get close. So um, you see, and then I try and send her a delegation just to be because I know she's not going to accept it. But after we just got done with the war, so but anyway, we have made peace on that front. So now it's just me and Boner Helmet Head over here that tried to take advantage of the situation, and all he has is a bunch of warriors up here versus my awesome vampire and archer and it looks to be I think spearman. So the running way I made a spearman, I was hoping to get a kill to get one of the boosts related to kill a unit with a spearman. So so I'm coming out here and sort of assessing the situation. You can see that all the warriors are sort of low on health, but all my guys are sort of low on health. But the difference is I have a ranged unit and they don't, so fuck them. Um, so the Pericles is about to take it in the ass here because he messed with the wrong dude. Pound Maker is the one that does the pounding in the rear, not Pericles. So here you can see I saved the promotion like I should have done with the earlier one so that I can do that quick heal there and take more of a tank beating. So that is the advantage you would have using that unique unit over using just a warrior. And then we have another one of the unique units ready. So now it quickly went from 5 to 3 warriors, and I have the numbers advantage along with the range advantage, along with the brains advantage, along with the being handsome advantage. because this is just an old dude from Athens here, and I don't know, he's some kind of douchebag that's obsessed with city states, liking him or something. I'm not really sure. Um, but so you can see I'm able to fend off on that front as well. Pretty much. I mean, you haven't seen it now, but you have because I mean, you can tell from this layout that I am going to win this fight here, absent some reinforcements. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. So I go ahead and sniff out the route the Pericles took in to attack me, and it's pretty obvious where his borders would likely be. So here I am, sort of scouting out where the number of great profit points lies, and even though I am in the lead, I'm not generating points nearly fast enough. So I do make a last-ditch failed effort to rebuild my shrine and get a holy project site up, which nonetheless fails. But you can see the border of Pericles' empire, if you can call it that, there. And I am bringing in the wrecking crew here. Hopefully, you know, I guess he could have a massive force waiting down there, but it doesn't really look like it too much. And here's me refusing to give up on the religion thing again, even though eventually that pretty much collapses and I get screwed again. I mentioned that earlier in the video, but gonna complain about that again. But anyway, so Corinth is down there, but we can't really see anything behind it because there is a bunch of mountains. But those come into play later in the fight in a very fortunate kind of way. So you can see he's got his fancy mountaintop wonder there. It's probably Machu Picchu or something like that. Um, and I commence with the ranged attacks. Unfortunately, I'm in that one of those weird spots where I'm technically within two hexes with my archer, but I can't hit him from there. So I have to adjust and move up. So I reposition there as I continue to advance my other forces down. And the really great thing here is there happens to be libraries from two different towns right next to each other, or by libraries, I mean campus district. So he's got them laid out in a way that they butt up against each other from two different cities. So I'm able to actually end up pillaging those, and now you can see why this mountain pass ends up being so important. So I've just got one warrior there, but this is like the reversed reenactment of 300 right here, with much smaller numbers. Instead of 20,000 versus whatever they had, 200, it's one club dude versus all of these hoplites. But they can only come in one at a time, and I have the favorable terrain. So, so despite them having superior units, and I guess they only have two hoplites in a scout there, but it far superior to my one warrior, I have the choke point. So it is, you know, I am like Ed Harris on Alcatraz. I have the position here, and they should just give up, but they don't. They'll just keep attacking my warrior. But that one warrior is able to hold off all of the reinforcements from that position. So very fortunate positioning here. But just you know, if you see a defensive choke point like that, you want to try and take advantage of that. So that buys me enough time to go ahead and take Corinth. And I make a huge mistake here because what I end up doing is I end up taking the city instead of raising the city, and I'm more than 9 hexes away from my closest city. So more than likely, I'm not going to be able to outpace the disloyalty in this city from the nearby population of Pericles' other cities. So really, if you are that far away from any of your cities, you should probably raise the city. Like otherwise, it's just going to keep going into free city mode. So if you end up making that mistake, you'll have to look for some kind of way to back out of it without just handing the city back over to them via loyalty. So and negotiating peace won't necessarily work either. So in this case, what I ended up doing is I did negotiate peace and then had enough units still at the time to keep the city surrounded just to immediately retake it, and then I would be able to raise it after that. So, he's making an offer, and the thing about that is that's always a good indicator of whether or not you are gaining ground or losing ground by whether or not that offer goes up. That's not necessarily always the case because if you start to win by a lot, they just won't have anything to give you. But generally, with gold, they have enough that offer reflects whether or not they feel they are winning or losing, which is usually accurate because they sort of just base that off of their military score. So uh, you can see Norway popped up at some point here, and I don't think I remember to add them as a friend, but I should have if I didn't because I don't you don't want anyone else to be involved in the fight. But you see, I have four cities, and I picked up two of them from the deity level AIs from two different civilizations. So I do go ahead and friend the Norway dude here, the guy that gets angry if you don't build ships. So oddly enough, so I go ahead and take the peace deal and then wait to just sort of so I said I had four cities, but really I'm going to give up that other city. But I raised a lot of science off of the attack in there and slowed down my nearby neighbor. So you can see that I actually have to tied for the most technologies research, even though I haven't built any campuses. So hope you enjoyed. If you want to try out this map seed, the map seed is down below in the details, and I used the same seed for the game seed. Be aware you might not always get the starting location depending on which civilization you pick. And while you're down there, if you liked this video, please do consider liking and subscribing if you'd like to see future content like this. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.